Hello, hi, I'm Gus, and I'm a stop motion professional living in the UK with experience in, obviously stop motion, but as well as that, theatre and miniatures and miniature sculpting and miniature painting. I used to be a part of the miniature scene in the UK, painting scene. Picked up a Golden Demon in 2013, and yeah, as well as that, the European scene. I have kind of connections to Volomer, if anyone knows Volomer, Rafa, as we know him, and some of the German peeps that I know. There's a massive voodoo and painting Buddha and all those peeps. I've kind of got kind of friends in that world. So yeah, today I'm going to be looking at a lot of the Lord of the Rings range and Hobbit range, since I've spent so many years being a model maker professionally. It's nice to go back to look at the old miniatures of my youth and do some reviews in retrospect. This is for myself, so I can watch this video and go, oh, okay, that's my thoughts on this and that and the other. But also it's for any other people in my industry or related industries who can watch this video, get ideas or whatever, and comment, bounce their ideas off of me. Yeah, that's not going to happen unless obviously I start posting videos such as this. So yeah, I'm going to have a look at the painting and the sculpting, since that's the side I'm most comfortable with. But as well as that, obviously the characters and the designs themselves, probably done by Alan, was it John Howe and Alan Lee? Is that right? Yeah, no doubt many others, Gus Hunter and a few others people were involved in the Weta Workshop crew. Okay, so to start off, this is the second in the series. I can't really find the original page I was on from before, so from the first in the series, so I'm just going to start from here, just available to order, and start from the top, and see where I go from there. So Lake Down House, yeah, I was kind of phasing out of the miniature world by this point. Desolation of Smog onwards. I did manage to pick up the rule book, which was cool because I had one of my Goblin King miniature, which I put a bit of work into. So that was cool to see. But other than that, I kind of was focused on the theatre world at that point, and kind of dropped the miniatures and the model making. Yeah, this is nice. These were made, especially a lot of the Hobbit series seemed to have model sets. They also had a Goblin Town set. I'm not sure that's here, but had a Goblin Town set they can interlock with other sets. It's interesting that both the Goblin Town and the Lake Town sets are both kind of wooden interlocking sets. I wonder if that was coincidence, or yeah, they were just in that mindset at that time. Although I do prefer Goblin Town in the movies to Lake Town, even though I liked Lake Town in the books. It's just, I don't know, it's a bit too. The town itself is kind of, it's like it is a residing. I can't find the words. They live by the river or on the river, so they have they trade with a lot of different cultures, and they were the sets in the film, and obviously the miniatures and the culture of the costumes were designed so that they were reflective of the fact that they would pick up different elements from different cultures around them. They'd have a bit of a dwarven element, woven element in their clothing. They also have other elements like maybe little elven ornate elements in the way they have their little fish designs, which probably be from the elves. Yeah, so they kind of pick up a different kind of qualities of design, but it does make it a bit of a hodgepodge and not its own thing, which was a shame. And it worked really well with the goblins, because they were kind of picking up little random bits from the people they stole from, but the goblins were kind of horrible and ugly, and it was kind of cool and goofy. I really liked sculpting and making little orc towns when I was a kid, because you could just take bits of your bits box of, like, let's say Mana Minas Tirith heads and stuff, and string them up and put them around, and I put a Mana Minas Tirith in a little jail cell and whatever. You can do all sorts of fun little model making stuff when you're building an orc town or a goblin town, which is not so much opportunities with this sort of stuff. But I won't go into that too much because that's not really. I'm more into the miniatures side of things and the sets and stuff. So this was a cool miniature. It came out, I think 2013, probably 2014, probably 14 period. But yeah, very nice model. I love these kind of spin arounds. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can get closer than that. Now, funnily enough, this looks not too dissimilar to my. Let's see if I can find it. My dragon figure, which I made up for many years ago, for game Golden Demon 2007, I think it was. It was a while back, but yeah, I did some various fun and goofy stuff. Here we go. So this was my Smorg Victorious. I did this when this version of the dragon came out years ago, and I did a little back, and I had this little goblin here as well as a fun little scale thing. And goblins have lovely colours as well, the green and the Christmassy colours, which often people don't like, but I don't mind if you make the goblin skin pale and fleshy enough. It's quite nice. Obviously, I sculpted a lot of this stuff, and a lot of this was converted. I resculpted the neck because the dragon of the original kind of had a shorter neck, and I sculpted the hands here as well. A lot of this is converted, obviously painted. I sent this into Golden Demon, but obviously didn't get anywhere. But it was kind of cool. I was like, this is my idea of what Smorg would be. So it's cool to see this figure, and obviously naturally it's not too dissimilar. Not too dissimilar. Look at that. Of course, this is huge. What's funny, it's got the little character motif here, which is exactly what I did here. But I don't know, it's not that close, but it's kind of a cool little thing. One of the things I don't like about this figure is this has got so much opportunity for beautiful sculpting and posing with the body, as you can see with this one, which is I've tried to do with this fella. You got the arms and you got everything going on here, but with this fella, it's kind of it's all hidden under this wing. So you're spending all this money for this miniature, and really all you're getting, if you're going to pose it, let's say like that, that's the best pose. You're just getting this giant wing, and it's hiding everything, and you might as well be like a relief or something, or as a sculpt. It's kind of, well, you wouldn't pose it like that, and it's not like there's much to see there. You want to see it from different angles, you want some cool even this angle's a lot of fun to see. As a story, you'd see it from that angle, and then you'd look at the miniature, then you'd look at the back, and then you'd enjoy to look at all this sort of stuff. As a story, this is kind of just like, it's interesting. Oh, you see Bilbo there. I don't know, I feel like maybe Bilbo should be at the back, because that would be give you more of a story. Because here it's like just a friggin' wing, a massive friggin' wing, and then you go, oh cool, we got some flesh and tail and design stuff going on here. Also, the gold, freaking hell, it's just like freaking dry brushed. There's nothing fun going on here, and you really need to see like different kinds of gold and different patches, and I don't know, it just seems pretty run of the mill. It's a shame, but it's cool to have the figure though. Gosh, you could easily convert it to suit your purposes. If you wanted to play around with it more, similar to the way I did with mine. But obviously that would be quite a bit of work. So yeah, sorry, this is the Goblin King that I got into Golden Demon Germany. That was in the rulebook for Desolation and Smog, which was cool. So yeah, that's that. Now I'll just double check the time because I don't want to overdo these videos. Literally no way of telling. Fair enough. Okay, so yeah, Hobbit figures. I've already talked about those. These came out later. Was it Abrakan Merchant Guard? Yeah, I'm not so into those. They're kind of a bit. I've said that before with the Druid Warriors. They're kind of the seventh. They had these sort of 80s Games Workshop 80s stuff, which kind of has like over large proportions in certain areas and a bit kind of over the top fantasy elements, which obviously work really well with Warhammer and Warhammer 40k. But sometimes when they get the sculptors, I think from those used to those ranges working on Lord of the Rings, they don't get the Lord of the Rings vibe, which is a much more sort of realistic look. I mean, these miniatures look lovely. I mean, just oh gosh, look at these. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think much of the Mirkwood Warrior designs at the time, but looking back, they were kind of fun. You could see what they were trying to do. Obviously, they were trying to go with the autumn motif, since we hadn't seen that with the elves. The elves always design their clothing and costumes to do with I believe like the seasons and nature, they're a natural environment, and obviously the Lost Alliance elves. I'm not sure these are even on here. Yeah, it's hard to. I'll have to find them at some other time. But the Lost Alliance elves were kind of spring, and kind of really silver and or gold and blue, and kind of really fresh. They look like fresh buds. Their helmets are also reflective of fresh. What do you call it? New buds. The darling buds of May or something. And these are kind of more autumn. You can see the design is like leaves, kind of maple leaves that have been rotted away, maybe a bit in the obviously nearing winter period. I suppose even more so autumn would be obviously the elves of the Galadrim, of which were in Two Towers, which fought with the Rohan at Helm's Deep. But these are cool, really cool designs, and really well painted. I really love it when they kind of have a fun little paint job. These are obviously not painted. The Merchant Guard aren't painted as, interestingly, the colours are kind of a bit too poppy. But obviously the painters have like literally no time. I looked into being a painter at Games Workshop, and the realities of it is that you have to just work so fast with really, really limited number of colours. You don't worry too much about blending, just for speed. You don't limit your colours because you're being, self-flagellating or whatever. You just kind of have to do it because you have to work as quick as you can, because you're working on very tight timescales. So yeah, these are okay. I mean, the problem with these designs is not much you can really. I know, actually, I take that back. You could do a lovely little diorama, but I might resculpt these a bit. I always like resculpting things slightly for dioramas for winning, or if you want to win a Golden Demon or whatever. But Games Workshop, by my experience, don't like you resculpting too much. They like you to show off their original models. Like with this is pretty much the exact same model. I've just played around with the base a bit to show off the beauty of the model. Games Workshop like me doing that because they don't like it when people kind of stray too far away. Like this figure, I won silver Golden Demon with this one, and you can see how literally these figures are exactly as they are in the original set. Obviously what I've done is I've posed them in a way to suggest that obviously he's fired his little what would you call it, little sling, and it's hit him in the eye and he's lost an eye. And his pose is perfect for that. So yeah, you kind of show off their models, and I think they like that. This model I did years ago for Golden Demon, 2008 I think. It was years ago, and it was disappointing because I didn't even get a finalist pin or whatever. But at the time I was really disappointed. But this was originally obviously a Dead Marshal's elf. I did the making of a video for this on YouTube, and it got a few likes, and it got 20,000 views or something. It's quite got a lot of views, and I think if anyone's into miniatures watching this channel, Into the Lord of the Rings range, may already know of this figure because the making of's been up for over 10 years now, and it seems to have gotten a lot of attention. But yeah, this was kind of a design. I just took the High Elf Dead Marshal's elf, and I kind of converted it to be, a regular. It's like a literally snapshot right after the Mount Doom, Battle of Mount Doom, whatever. So yeah, we'll move swiftly on. These sculpts are lovely. Oh, that's just great. I would have, if I was into miniatures at the time, I would have got an army of them, no doubt. I never got an army of the Nazgul, because the paint design, the miniature rules, they weren't that cool. They had some interesting spells you could cast, but they weren't incredible. Witch King, I think, was the best one. But I just felt such a shame because the Witch King's pose was just so, boring, and yet he's the friggin' Witch King, and I'd always had one because I needed one to swap out when I had a Witch King on Fell Beast, and whenever the Fell Beast died, I needed to have a replacement miniature, so I used this one. But it was just such a shame because, look at that pose. All the other poses are better, and yet he's the leader. It's like, friggin' hell. Oh, well, it is what it is, but yeah. So we're on to this one here. This is cool. They've designed him so you can literally you don't get the eagle, but you can just plop him on one of your other eagles if you want to buy the eagle. This is very beautiful design. The little was it Baskerville rabbits or something? Rask or something rabbits. Yeah, I think I've loved all the designs of the Radagast. There was a design they did back in 2003. I'm not sure I can find it here, but yeah, that was quite nice as well. And that was my first entry into Golden Demon. It wasn't this figure, but it was that previous design of Radagast. I've spoken about that, and the Dunlendings are cool. And yeah, more Fell Beast action. No, not Fell Beast, Ringwraith action here. I remember an old at Games Workshop, an old friend of mine got a whole sort of Ringwraith army. He used I think there was like different rule sets for different kind of Lord of the Rings kind of games, with different versions of the miniature game. And there's one with these bases. You have all the models on the bases, and you had the one where we just used lots of these Ringwraiths together and sort of power armied. It's called power armor. Having a power army is when you don't cheat, but you kind of overdo the rules to work for you, and just annihilate the other player. And I beat him at the regular game of miniature Lord of the Rings, but he used his was it War Armies of Middle Earth or something? I can't remember. But he would always beat me because he used all these Nazgul figures and powered up their spells to just make them an unstoppable friggin' force. This is a beautiful figure. Definitely, this would be a Golden Demon I would enter. I would definitely go with something, maybe Minas Morgul, have like a bit of the statue of Minas Morgul, have a bit of green glow coming from below, something like that. I would maybe have a little bit of a fire over here just to add a bit of color. Yeah, I could manage. You could do a lot with that really beautiful figure. Really into that miniature. I wasn't a fan of it. It's hard to get that working because it looks like, is it a sword? Sometimes because, I mean, what do you call them? Friggin' spinny. I call them spinny winny things for now, and then I can look back on the video and feel embarrassed. But these spinny winny things, they look great in movement and like animation and in film, but in miniatures sometimes they can just look a bit. You're not sure whether they're just a weirdly shaped sword, or you kind of have to go, oh, okay, they're a spinny winny thing. Yeah, no, all good, great, cool. So yeah, I'll probably wrap this video up soon, but I'm just gonna probably finish off a few of these. I've spoken about them. Palace Guards. What are these Palace Guards? Are these the Oh, okay, I get you. No, cool. This is cool because they've got a slightly different design for these elves as opposed to these ones. So obviously these ones will be out in the field. These ones are for the palace. Yeah, it's just nice to see when they have just slightly different designs. What I did like about getting into the miniature world of Lord of the Rings was that when you're painting miniatures, you really start to notice the differences in the designs, which helps you when you're designing your own characters and stuff. And it's probably helped me now with my stop motion films, designing my characters, just to have that kind of bedrock of design, which I think John Howard, Alan Lee, and all the other concept artists have probably given me through just literally painting the designs, doing conversions, kind of figuring out what characters I could convert, let's say, this sword with, and going, actually, no, that wouldn't look good on, let's say, an Arwen miniature, but it would maybe work with an orc figure or something. Just those kind of getting yourself to that mindset. Kind of you figure out, how weaponry works and what looks cool and what doesn't. So yeah, thumbs up for those figures. They have different designs. They often like doing different designs of the same character. So there's like unbelievable amount of Legolas's out there. I'd love to see a kind of all Legolas army, I suppose, of all the different Legolases they've been in the past. This face sculpt. We have to understand, when you're a miniature sculptor, faces take ages, and it can take a good number of hours before you realize that a face isn't working. And sometimes it's good. You just have to get to that it's good enough state. A lot of my miniatures, I kind of got to that state of where I had to just sort of go, it's good enough. And the person who's paying for me to sculpt this miniature is getting what they pay for. But sometimes it isn't quite as good as you'd like it to be, So Turiel isn't too bad here. I think the paint job is a lot to the blame for the issues on that figure. But yeah, and I think the one on the horse seems better. But these poses are a bit dull, aren't they? With just, it's just like silhouette wise, they're quite boring. Even Turiel here is quite boring. I'm kind of confused often why they do that, but no, actually I think I take that back. That sword probably looks cool from a different angle, but Yeah, no, cool. These it's obviously the building their range up. Hunter Orcs, I never got them. Obviously I had this Goblin King figure, and you can sort of compare with what I did. Obviously that's what Games Workshop did, and it's much more pinker, and I think it works. Maybe if he was in the sunlight, he would look like this, but obviously my figure is looks like that. Yeah, pick your fave, but obviously you have to give these guys a bit of a break because they're on very limited time, and they have to just crank out figures quickly and efficiently. Nazug, there's some interesting little designs there. I won't go too far into them. Some nice bard work. They'd always love these little rock bases, which they obviously naturally especially worked for their fantasy range. A Lord of the Rings range, I'd never be a fan of these. I'd always take the figure off the rock. I would sculpt, or like carve away the rock part, and I'd sculpt them so they'd be standing, because I mean when you have a figure, and especially when you're playing a miniature game, it just seems like the character is always running in their movement turn. They run up, find another rock, stand on it, run along, find another rock, stand on it, so it loses that immersion into the gameplay. It looks great as a standalone piece, but as a gamer I always like them just standing on flat terrain, just to reflect, obviously they're just running across flat terrain. Yeah, this is all good. Let's have a look. I've never noticed these before. These, was it Grim Hunters? Oh, I got you. The dwarfs. Yeah, no, cool. These are nice little models. The dwarf designs were a bit of a letdown. I suppose they are what they are, and they're what you'd expect. But I actually quite like the Khazad Guard. I mean, Games Workshop did great little Khazad Guard. So they're here. Miniatures back in 2003, 2004, and I thought they were great little designs, and they were kind of a bit slightly cartoony, but I thought they would work really. No, never mind. Okay, I thought they worked really well in the range. Never mind, I can't find them. But anyone who knows the miniature range, Lord of the Rings, will know what I'm talking about. They're just a bit grey, and they're just sort of, yeah, it's a bit. Especially the Battle of Five Armies, it kind of fades away in memory a little bit with all the designs looking the same, and they only had just a few sets, and they were all kind of obviously naturally computer generated. But you've got like all the other films, let's say 5 films in the series, and you've got lots of different locations and visuals. And in that one, it was just like Erebor. You had the interior of Erebor, and there wasn't much going on. You had a few fleeting moments of Lake Town, the opening segment. But after that, if you miss the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the film, you're kind of stuck in basically Erebor, and then fields, and then different warriors fighting in fields, and then a nice little ice kind of battle at the end. But there wasn't enough variation for me, which is why I can find myself. It's naughty, but I can find myself going off to the fan edits to get more, to condense that into maybe the second film. I quite like the Maple fan edit, the second half of the Maple fan edit, and watching that with whilst watching the opening of Desolation of Smorgon, the original film version, and then flipping over to that, because I can watch in 1 3-hour session. I can basically watch Desolation and the final one together. But yeah, no, this is all cool. Ruffians, and a lot of this is the Hobbit range, which is a lot of these I didn't get. Obviously because I was focusing on other things at the time, but I can look at the designs and the sculpts. I don't like it when they do. I like it when they do semi-realistic designs that look like they would look like that in natural environment. This is kind of over the top, slightly fantasy-like. When I say fantasy, I mean the Warhammer fantasy game, where they have slightly garish colors. It works brilliantly for that, but in Lord of the Rings, it can be a little bit jarring, I find. Yeah, no, Bard Bowman, this is a beautiful miniature. These are the kind of the spring leaf designs in the Warriors of the Last Alliance there. So I think I'll keep it there for now, and kind of do these piecemeal. Yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you like these videos, feel free to subscribe. I'm probably going to do more of these. And feel free to comment, and yeah, ciao for now.